Welcome back to Frontline Eurosports Online. Today, your host Nathan Jennings has Isaac with him, who's going to be taking ownership of a 2015 Triumph Tiger XCX model with all the extras for the Extra X. So we're going to go over this machine together, and we're going to go around the bottom portion of it first, get all the hard parts done, then we're going to go into handlebars and controls and instrumentation last. We've already been equipped, since this is a used motorcycle, with TKC 70 Continental tires on it. So we have great on-road and off-road capable motorcycle tires that are going to be great on the twisties, as well as give you all the off-road fun that you want to encounter. And it's the same tires your buddy Mike has on his F800 GS, so that you guys can rip it together and be very confident on the same skill set. One thing we've got going for us is a twin disc braking system with our Nissan twin piston calipers over here. We have WP suspension on this motorcycle, which is an upgrade from the predecessor models, because now we have adjustable suspension in the front, which the Tiger 800s did not have beforehand. Behind that, you can see resting here are our steel braided brake lines, and that is also what you had on your Bonneville, so you know how accurate they are. But now we're going to add a second set of braking caliper and rotors. All right. Okay. Cool. We're going to have ABS and traction control on this machine, so that's where you're going to have an additional lead coming down here, going to a speed sensor pickup right here on the front left side of the wheel. There's a correlating one on the rear wheel. This machine has an inline 3-cylinder that is going to be water cooled, fuel injected, and chain driven. There will be an auxiliary cooling fan in the back here that you will feel kick on if you're sitting in an urban environment, just not moving a lot, getting a lot of flow going. You're going to hit temperatures exceeding 220-ish degrees. You'll feel that fan kick on for you. But other than that, we're going to have this really compact 800cc power plant with 3 cylinders that give you an extremely smooth linear power delivery and an awesome amount of bottom end torque that's easy to negotiate on-road and off-road. Serviceability on this motorcycle, we have our fill in a sight glass and a spin-on filter in the front, and obviously under our XCX aluminum sump guard, our drain. The XCX is also going to have our engine protection to protect all of this asset that we have here for us. We have foot pegs that have rubber inserts in them that we can pull out if we want to have more bite on the foot pegs when we're encountering the dirt and atmosphere. We have a gnarly brake pedal with our master cylinder hidden behind our hero guard here, and a steel braided line going up to our braking system. Our overflow hose is going to give us fluid levels and fluid clarity so that we can check our rear brake fluid. We have a single canister, which we can upgrade to an aero exhaust, which is allowing us to remap the motorcycle and gives us better throttle response, fuel economy, more increased tone, as well as drop in weight. So performance attributes come heavy with an aero slip-on edition. We're going to have our beautiful swing arm with a steel braided brake line leading to our rear brake caliper and rotor. And you've already luckily been equipped with all of the luggage that you can stand on this machine. So we're going to have the Triumph side panniers and the Adventure top pannier, which these are 5-degree play in this. It's designed to give us the best action while moving on this motorcycle. And our top box has what they call a sliding carriage, so it's designed to move. And then you have comfort for your passengers with the backrest pads up here. The way we access this and can remove this is very simple. We take the same ignition key we have for the ignition, do a half turn that allows us to push this handle down, open up and access inside of our pannier. We can close that pannier, do a full turn, and our handle pops up saying, hey, I can come right off. So we just pull it back off. And then we have guides on the bottom to sit into this bracket, and these 2 grabbers right here. And now, put the handle back down, turn the key, and she's secure back to the motorcycle again. And next, we're going to take this same ignition key all the way to the back and show you our access for the rear seat and the front seat removal. So to take off our saddles, we have counterclockwise turn on the key, which pulls our rear seat up. You've been lucky enough to be added with heated saddles from Sargent, so there is going to be an electrical lead to that we need to be cautious of. Don't take the seat and rip it off across the room. There are connectors for it though. You can see here we have our tool kit for the Triumph Tiger 800. Okay. This is our data port. We don't want to play with that. That's how we do diagnosis and such on the machine. So that is our rear saddle. Then we're gonna go up to our front saddle, which again is heated, but has additional features, which is the ability to change the saddle height. So we can change the saddle height by moving these two bars. If you need a more foot peg to seat ratio, this long trip you're about to take across country, I would suggest leaving it in a tall saddle position to increase blood flow in the back of the legs and give you more longevity. But right now we're going to keep it in a low position so we rock and roll. This also gives us access to all of our fuses and relays and battery access there. So to slip this back on, you see that metal bar, the front little grab rail right here. We just make sure we're sliding that puppy on, check the back, make sure it's going into its two guides. Our rear saddle has two ears, and push down the back of the saddle to install completely. We're going to take our ignition key right here, put it back in the lock cylinder for what we do here in a hot second. Next we're going to go to another creature comfort that you're going to get, which is our accessory socket located back here, so that you can run multiple different heated elements for yourself. If you need nice fancy heated sock liners or any additional vests, because you already have but it's something that we can definitely do in the future. Or if your loved ones on the back need a little additional equipment, charging up their cell phone, we can use an accessory port. So the other side of our engine is going to give us access to our upgraded rear suspension on this model, or in this generation of Tiger, which is the correlating WP rear shock assembly. We're going to have a 6-speed transmission that does have linkage, so that we can adjust the pedal height for ourselves and find the right position for that pedal depending on what boots we're wearing and what we're doing, what kind of atmosphere we're riding in. Our side stand. Our side stand has a safety switch to it. The side stand safety switch will cut the machine off if you try to take off in first or second gear. That's going to prevent a bad day of trying to take a left turn with the side stand down. And there is another safety switch, which is our clutch safety switch. 20 minutes ago, I got a phone call from a customer that I delivered a bike to. So excited, he forgot about the clutch safety switch that I told him about in the delivery. So he just called me and said, my bike won't start. Did you pull the clutch in? Dang it. It does happen. On the Triumph, it is required to pull the clutch in to start the motorcycle. And it's a real life situation. It just happened a few minutes ago. So we're going to go up into the handlebars now, so we get a view of our left control. With our new model being ride-by-wire, we have a different housing. It's really a true rheostat in here, and that's giving us a signal to the ECU of what to do electronically for the throttle position. We are going to have below that our cruise control options. So we have a activation and kill for the cruise control. We have a set and resume and trim. We can decrease or increase our desired speed. And it does have some cool reset information that goes into the screen that we won't be able to see today because we're not doing actual cruise control in the showroom. Our start button's below that, and to start this motorcycle we first need to right on, so don't forget about that. Our run cycle switch is at the very top. We can leave that on. We can use that as emergency kill depending on your preferred methods. I like to use that to kill the power plant, then to kill my ignition, so that when I turn my machine on, I can turn the ignition on and then that rocker switch to power the rest of the electronics for the motorcycle. Thank you, sir. The next thing that we're going to have is an additional accessory port next to our lock cylinder down here, so we have another access to electricity. Our run cycle, our ignition keys that we can turn to the ignition on or utilize as a steering column lock. Okay. Now, as I put power to the motorcycle, when I hit the on switch there for a brief second, you did see that your switches are coming on for your heated elements for your front and rear saddle. This is your front saddle, and this is your passenger saddle. So going all the way into the left controls, we're going to have adjustable levers that we can pull out the lever and find 1, 2, 3, or 4 different positions for the clutch here. We still want to keep a quarter or an eighth of an inch, about a nickel's width, between the perch and the lever of play to not prematurely wear out our clutch. We're going to have our information button, and scrolling and selecting is the way I like to label it. High beam, low beam, with an intermittent flash at the top as a trigger. We have conventional left and right turn signals, pushing in for cancelization, and our horn. Up top side on the XCX, now we have mode selection. So it used to be the Tiger and the F800 GS. The Tiger was the street bike, the F800 was the ultimate and the off-road, but now that we have a way to tame this 3-cylinder from wicking up so fast in the dirt, it's a lot more manageable because we have a road, an off-road, and a user mode in here as well called Rider that we can manipulate. So we're going to go over that with the ignition switch with one cycle to the right. If you want to hit that for me, Isaac, and turn your machine on for the first time. So we hear our fuel pump coming on because we had that switch already cycled on. We start out with our true odometer of the motorcycle, and then we're going to be in a trip mode. So we can cycle through that. We have range on tank, we have ambient air temperature, we've got our odometer, we've got miles per gallon instantaneous, we have a set screen, and back to our range on tank. The lower button here will let us go through to our setup menu, trip 1 and trip 2. To reset these, you just hold the button in for trip 1 and trip 2, and you can see how it just quickly reset. I'm going to cycle all the way back to trip 1. We have our average miles per gallon, average miles per hour, our trip mileage, our hours running, our time running, and back to our other fuel meters. Let's clear all those out now that you've seen them. And we're going to scroll through just a clean screen 1, clean screen 2. We go into info. That's what we just went through with the info bar, going through range on fuel tank, ambient air temperature, odometer, miles per gallon instantaneous. We're going to go into setup next. Setup, we go into our rider mode. Our rider mode is one that we can manipulate. To select, I want to make changes. I can hit my lower button and change my mapping first. So I have 3 different options there. I have my sport, my off-road, my rain, 4, I'm sorry, and road. Sport, off-road, rain, and road. If you want to make this, say, your rain option for you, we can go down to rain. We want to keep our safety up. So we take our ABS and turn our ABS to road. As you can see, you have off, off-road, road. And then we got traction control. We don't want that off. We want that on because they're in our slipperiest conditions. And now we set our rider mode as our rain mode for this motorcycle. We can go the other way too. We can be sport throttle, turn ABS and traction control off, and make it our wild beast mode. So then we're gonna go back into a time setup. Indicators being automatic or not, as the XCX does have self-canceling turn signals. Our service countdown, our units of measurement of how we want that, and return back to our main screen. So we've went over almost everything except for the selection of the mode itself, which is something we can do on the fly. We have our mode button that we can go from road to off-road to our rider mode, which we have just set as our rain mode for this motorcycle, essentially, Isaac. So in that, we got information, we got little dummy lights we're gonna go over here. So we're gonna have our warning lights for our water, oil, engine. We're gonna have turn signals left and right. We're gonna have a neutral indicator, our high beam, which I can't do unless the bike's running. Our low fuel light, which is gonna come on once we hit our reserve level. When the amber illumination will let us know, hey man, we gotta pull over and get some petrol pretty soon. And we also have our immobilizer bell where we add an alarm to it. What you have flashing is our ABS, an anti-lock braking system, and that is something that is going to self-check itself and then be on for you when you turn this motorcycle on. You're going to have to go in and make a conscious decision in your modes to turn your ABS off. Then we have our cruise control illumination that you can only do while the bike is operating and running, and our traction control off warning, so it'll stay solid and say you turn traction control off, and then there is a line with a line, or traction control with a line to it. That is letting us know we're utilizing our traction control at that moment. So, at this moment in time, we pretty much went over everything on the Triumph Tiger 800 XCX. Do you have any questions for me before you take off on your beautiful new discern blue Tiger?
I want to try these in the center stand a couple times.
Alright, we can definitely go over that and play with that.
Cool.
So that'll be our next activity before we take off. And I appreciate you guys joining us for the delivery to Isaac on this Tiger 800 XCX. Have a good day. Thanks for joining Frontline Eurosports Online.